time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Good morning and welcome to Story Time. Thank you for joining me. Happy Tuesday to you out there, and always happy to be here with you, and of course to enjoy wonderful stories together. Thank you so much for joining me, and today we have another great story awaits, and of course we're reading this one with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco, and it is written by James PROIMOS and illustrated by ZOEY Abbott, and this one is called Over the Moon. Yes, let's find out what this one is all about. Welcome to Storytime today. Good morning to you wherever you're joining us from in the world. Thank you so much for being here. And of course, if you're joining the recording, you're joining the live one, we welcome you. We're happy that you're here to join us for Storytime. I am so glad that we can still do Storytime and are able to share such amazing stories, inspiring each other, and of course, learning from each other. Thank you so much for being here. And for those that joined us yesterday, good morning to you. Thank you, Harmony Beth in Alameda. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. Always glad that you're here with us. Absolutely appreciate you. And yes, thank you. It has been great going back to school. Of course, trying as much as possible to follow the rules, follow the guidelines, and also just appreciating those well wishes. Thank you so much, Harmony Beth. Sharon Lungo, good morning to you. How are you doing? And of course, Soraya, thank you for joining us on Storytime. And Soraya, as you watch this, congratulations on beginning kindergarten. You just started kindergarten, so thank you so much for joining in. I am glad that you're here and honored that you get to share story time with us. Thank you so much for joining in. Nathan and Sarah in Illinois, how are you doing? And of course, Amanda West, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you here. Thank you. And in Seattle, Amanda Waltman, how are you doing? And of course, Baby Bia, Nate, Marlin, thank you so much for joining us on Storytime. I hope you're having a wonderful time where you are. Chriselle, how are you doing out in LBC? And of course, you join my Clay and Rocco. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, always a hug for great grandpa June. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. Catherine, how are you doing out in Virginia? Thank you so much for joining in. And I am glad you're here. And Catherine, keep those recommendations coming. I love them. I'm enjoying them, and more stories to come from your recommendations. Thank you for being here. I hope you're having a lovely time out on the East Coast. Thank you so much for joining us. Good morning to you, Betty Graydon in Florida. Thank you so much for joining us on Story Time. Good morning to you. I hope you're well. I hope you're having a lovely time out in Florida. And Alan Edwards in Chicago. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here on Story Time with us. Always appreciate you, and much love to you. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you're ready for this wonderful story that we have today. Over the Moon, written by James PROIMOS and illustrated by ZOEY Abbott. I hope you're ready for this wonderful story. Let us get ready for this one. And of course, we're reading it with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. Yes, indeed, Chronicle allowing us to read so many great books right here on Storytime. All right, so here we go. Over the Moon, written by James PROIMOS and illustrated by ZOEY Abbott. And of course, read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. All right, here we go. I just feel like that one is a calming picture. Over the Moon by James PROIMOS, illustrated by ZOEY Abbott, published and read with permission of Chronicle Books of San Francisco. When a baby floats down a river, she doesn't think about her place in the world. She just goes with the flow. When two wolves sit on the river's edge, the first wolf thinks about good and evil, light and dark, and right and wrong. The second wolf thinks about dinner. When two wolves spot a baby floating down the river, they agree it would be a good idea to scoop her up and take her home. So they do. When the two wolves get the baby home, they are both over the moon with joy. The first wolf says, "We will nourish her and teach her about good and evil, dark and light, right and wrong." Wow. The second wolf says, "I was planning on eating her." But the wolves do teach her well. And the baby grows into a young girl. Oh. When the first wolf says, "I love you, child," and the second wolf says, "I must admit, you make a better girl than you would have made a meal." And the girl is happy. The days pass and the girl grows stronger and wiser. The first wolf says, "Time moves too fast." The second wolf says, "I'm afraid she will leave us one day." Oh, that was the whole point of nourishing her and teaching her about good and evil, dark and light, right and wrong, says the first wolf. One day, when the girl goes out to pick berries for dinner, she sees something she has never seen before. She runs home. She does not even know why. What do you think she saw? When night falls, the girl can't stop thinking about what she saw. The world is upside down. She is not the girl she was before. What do you think she saw? The girl goes back to the spot again and again and again. When the girl tells the wolves it's time for her to go, the first wolf says, "This is why we nourished you and taught you about good and evil, light and dark, right and wrong." The second wolf tries hard not to, but sheds a tear. Oh. Suddenly, the ground feels like a river, and the current takes her to a building. And to an open door. Where does that door lead to? Now the girl and the wolves will spend their days apart. But when each day ends, the wolves will be there to scoop the girl into their arms and take her home. As they did from the river so very long ago. The end. A beautiful story indeed. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime Over the Moon. Yes, written by James Primus and illustrated by ZOEY Abbott. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned a thing or two from it. And for you parents out there, this one is definitely for you, because sometimes it is, I imagine it is hard to see your child grow and go on to aspire to do so many things, and just thinking that time has just flown by. So please enjoy the time that you have the little ones at home. Enjoy it to the max, however that looks for you. But yes, definitely something to think about there. And also realizing that yes, love sometimes means letting go, letting things fly away. So thank you so much for joining in Story Time. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you loved it. Please find it at your local library. Find it where you get books. And of course, remember to ask for it at school and read it over and over. Over the Moon by James Primus and illustrated by ZOEY Abbott. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime today. Parents, I want to hear your comments on that, what you think about that book. Please do share, and I will definitely be looking at them later on when I am done with class. Thank you so much for being here. This has been Storytime, and it is always a pleasure being here with you and enjoying finding all these wonderful books and sharing them here together. Please keep those recommendations coming the other way so that I can keep growing my repertoire as well, and also just growing my collection. Thank you so much for being here on Storytime, and I will see you again tomorrow when we're back with another book that has been here on Storytime before, but it is good enough to bring twice. Thank you so much for joining in, and tomorrow look forward to this one, Follow the Moon Home. And this one is of course by Philippe Costu and Deborah Hopkinson, and illustrated by Melo So. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you'll be able to join me for this one tomorrow, and we continue learning, continue joining the little kids in this one as they go about their school and activism. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime. I hope you enjoyed our today's read. Yes, indeed, Over the Moon. And thank you out there for joining us. Please have yourself a wonderful day. I will be right here tomorrow enjoying time together. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Have fun. If it is evening where you are, I hope that you have a lovely night, a sweet night indeed. And of course, if it is in the afternoon, I hope you enjoy the rest of it. Or if it is the morning, like here in Oakland, I hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day, and maybe an even delicious lunch to go with that. Thank you so much for joining me on Storytime. See you again tomorrow. Much love from me, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. He brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing life, your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be